Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I am doing the F book tag. Is that what it's called? I didn't actually write down the name. I think it's just called the F book tag. Um, this is a series that Jim from Jim's Books Reading and Stuff is doing. He has tags for, I think, A through F now. I think F is the most recent one. And he kindly tagged me in his original tag. So thanks, Jim, for that. Getting right into it, the first prompt is F is for France. Who is your favorite French author? And unfortunately, I can't really give a favorite French author because my reading of French authors is woefully lacking. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I've only read one French author. I read Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Is that his name? I think so. I did really love that book, but I can't say that he's a favorite French author because I read that one book. But a couple of books that are on my TBR from French authors, kind of like top of the list, I guess, are The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas and Germinal by Émile Zola. The next prompt is F is for fiction. Approximately what percentage of your reading is fiction? About 2/3 of my reading is fiction, and I do keep track, so that's a pretty accurate number. F is for fantasy. Who is your favorite fantasy author? I mean, at the risk of being cliche, I'm going to go with Tolkien. I was and am still to a degree obsessed with Tolkien and Middle Earth. I was more obsessed when I was in high school. I've toned it down a bit. I mean, I wrote some fan fiction. I was that kind of Tolkien nerd. But I don't see anyone toppling him as my favorite fantasy author. There are still a lot of fantasy authors I haven't read that I would like to. I would say probably Robin Hobb is top of that list right now, but like I said, I don't think anyone will dethrone Tolkien for me. I think that the world, his like mythology is just too rich and too familiar to me, and I think it's wrapped up in just too much nostalgia. So I think Tolkien is always going to be my favorite fantasy author. The next prompt is F is for 5 stars. How many books have been 5-star reads for you this year? So I have read 12 5-star books. I have read 37 books so far this year, and 12 have been 5 stars, which might seem like a kind of big percentage, but I DNF very easily if I'm not liking a book, so I think my ratings tend to skew higher normally because if I'm not liking something, I just will stop reading it. The next prompt is F is for funny. Funny has 2 meanings. What book did you find both funny peculiar and funny haha? I'm going to go with Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, because that book is peculiar. Like, it's very hard to follow, at least it was for me. And it was kind of funny, peculiar in that way. It's just all very, it was like watching a David Lynch film. Like it was just odd. But it was also funny. I mean, it's essentially satire, right? Yeah, it was funny in many different ways. Very weird, highly enjoyed it, but one of the more difficult books I've read. Another one that I don't remember much about is The Van by Roddy Doyle. I remember there are a couple of quite peculiar characters, and they buy an old van to turn it into like a chip van, like for fish and chips. And I don't remember why or anything, but I just remember it being like funny, but in that dry British sort of way, which is a style of humor that I connect with. So, but it was also peculiar. Like I found the characters peculiar. So yeah, I don't remember much about that book, but I do remember it being funny in both of those ways. The next prompt is F is for Fight Club and film adaptation. What book and film adaptation both merited 5 stars in your opinion? So I have heard that the Fight Club adaptation is a really good adaptation. I have seen the movie and enjoyed it. I haven't read the book, so I can't say whether or not that's true, but I know Chuck Palahniuk said that the movie's better than his own book, so there you go. It's hard because I feel like it's always one or the other. Like, I can think of a lot of examples of movies that were much better than their mediocre book counterparts, and then also film adaptations that did not do the book justice by any stretch of the imagination. But I do have a couple of film adaptations of books that I really enjoyed and would give 5 stars, that I also think the movie is phenomenal as well. First one being The Lord of the Rings, like the entire movie trilogy. And I am a Tolkien nerd, and hard to please sometimes when it comes to adaptations. And I just think those adaptations really did justice to the books. They were true to the books when appropriate and when it worked, but they knew what things to change and why to make it work for film. So I feel like they tried to keep as much the same as possible, but the changes that they did make were definitely in service to the story as a visual medium. You know, I like we're never ever gonna get another fantasy movie trilogy like that. I mean, I love those movies basically the same as I love the books, and I love the books. So that's high praise. I love those movies. The other two are Stephen King novellas that I think were excellent in written format and just as good as movies. So those are The Shawshank Redemption, which is based on the novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. Both are just top notch. I can't say enough good things about the book and the movie. The other one is Stand By Me, which is based on the novella The Body, which is just like the perfect portrait of like growing up and the friends you have in childhood. And I mean, if you want a really good coming of age story, that's it. I mean, read The Body or watch Stand By Me. I think they are both fantastic. The next prompt is F is for Frida. This is a chance to show off your furry friends. So I do have a cat. She's not here now. She's very elusive. I probably couldn't find her right now if I wanted to, but I will find her later and take some footage that you can see, and I'll insert it here. My cat's name is Boomer. She is named after a sci-fi character from the show Battlestar Galactica, the one that came out in 2004, maybe in the 2000s, not the original series from the 70s or 80s or whenever it was. My husband and I were very into that show, and we named our cat Boomer because we take naming pets very seriously, and we wanted to give her a name that went with her personality. So we had her for a few days just to get to know her, and I won't say too much just in case there's someone out there who wants to watch this 15-year-old sci-fi show. But let's just say there are certain characteristics of the character Boomer in that show that my cat shares. So that's why we called her Boomer, and we love the name, and it just fits her so well. The next prompt is F is for flower. What is the last book you read with the name of a flower in the title? I literally don't think I've ever read a book with a flower in the title. I went through, I scanned, scrolled through all of my books on Goodreads, and I couldn't see any. So unless there was a book I read when I was younger that I didn't put into Goodreads as an adult, I don't think I've ever read a book with a flower in the title. The last prompt is F is for flash fiction. What are your thoughts or experiences of this medium? Um, I don't think I have ever read any flash fiction as an adult. I do remember reading some in high school. I don't think we called it flash fiction. I think we called it maybe micro stories or microfiction or some. It wasn't flash fiction, but I remember specifically given one of those like longer pieces of paper, legal size maybe, I don't know, but long pieces of paper that my English teacher had printed off like 10 different flash fiction stories. And I remember us going through them in a class and talking about the different stories. And I can't remember the titles of any of them. There was one that sticks out to me that I can't remember it entirely, but it's about a person who shoots themselves in the head, I think. And it's all about this gun and this bullet. And the end of the story is just this repeating line of something like the bullet entered, the bullet entered, something like that. There were these repeating words. And if memory serves, it was kind of evoking the sense of this person like having to like either relive the moment of their death or that the fraction of a second that they are dying is like stretched out or something. It played with time in some way. I wish I could find it somewhere, but I tried Googling those words, so I don't think I quite have the words right, but I just remember that story affecting me. But yeah, I haven't read any flash fiction since high school, so maybe that's something I should pick up sometime because I do enjoy short stories, but I tend to enjoy longer short stories, so I'm not sure how I would feel about flash fiction now, but I would be willing to give it a go. I think those are all of the prompts. I don't know who's done this. Who shall I tag? I'm going to tag Roz from Scallydandling about the books. I know she's done a couple of these tags, but I don't think she's done the F1 unless I've missed it. I will tag Gunpowder Fiction and Plot to do this, and I will tag who else? Keely from Bibliophile's Journey, I think is her channel name, and I will tag Sam from Paper Not Books to do this. I hope everyone enjoyed this, and I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.